everyone, welcome to another video from 3D Redbox channel. My name is Mehdi and today in this video we are going to talk about and discuss about new features inside the newest version of Substance Painter. So before jumping to the video, let me introduce the specific course for Substance Painter. Learning Substance Painter is easier than ever. Hey all substance lovers, texture seekers, and awesome future artists. Welcome to Ultimate Course for Learning Substance Painter from zero to hero. Ready to learn how to texture with different projects? Substance Master released a brand new course for those who want to learn to texture with Substance Painter. In this course, we cover from preparing the model to rendering different projects, different challenges. If you want to level up your skill in texturing, come and check the Substance Master Ultimate course for learning Substance Painter. Okay, now it's time to focus on the first feature that I want to mention about newest version of the Substance Painter. If I go to the baking menu and load a high poly model for this dog head, as you can see, we have a situation here. So let's define what's happening here. In a simple term, if you have a low poly model and load a high poly model like this, and you want to bake the information from this high poly model to the low poly, you need to define an area which is called cage. And this cage just define the software should look for the information in what range or where should it's looking for the information. And the cage is very important because if you have any intersection in the cage or any kind of mismatch or misplace with the high poly model, it means your baking process is going to be like a failed one. Okay, so let's test it here. As you can see, we have something like a high poly model for this dog head and some of the area is red, and it means we don't have this information from these red regions on the baking result. So for demonstrating this error, let's just decrease the dilation width here, change the output size to 2K and change the anti-aliasing to 16. Okay, so let's bake it and see what's happening here. So as you can see, if I disable this baking visualization, we have so many missed information on this area. Okay, so how we can solve this? The first method is going here and just change the max frontal and max real distance. So if I increase this distance like this, I don't have any kind of red regions anymore. Okay, but the problem is we have intersect between these cages. Okay, so it's going to create another problems, and it happens when you have complex model, organic model, or some low poly model which not follow the shapes and the forms of the high poly. Okay, and the cage inside the painter in default mode just created by following the low poly model. That's it. So the solution for this before this new feature inside the painter was going here, choose the custom file, go back to your 3D modeling and create a custom cage from the low poly which is fully matched with high poly model and export it as a custom cage and define it here. Okay, so that was the solution for this kind of situation. But right now you have this power to just come here, choose automatic feature which is auto cage option, and as you can see all the red area just gone. And this kind of error can happen, but they are not very important, and most of these error just comes from the low poly model. So if I want to solve this, I need to go back to the low poly model and just check it. Or maybe we have some extra vertices here in the error that we couldn't see that, but it's happened and just, create these kind of errors. Okay, so let's bake again and just disable this baking visualization, and as you can see, there is no error on the baking process and everything is clean here, and that's it. So we can solve this issue very easy with this automatic cage feature in recent Substance Painter versions. Let's go for the next one. So the next feature is imagine this situation. You create something inside the Photoshop. For example, this little sticker, okay? And you want to bring it to the Substance Painter. So let's bring it. I just save it as a PNG and click and drag it here and load this sticker in the base color. Okay, right. I'm going to scale it up and that's it. So if I go to the asset window, choose the project and go here, and as you can see, I have this sticker 1 inside my shelf or library. And what happened if I want to change it? So if I go and change this sticker from the source file, for example, like this, load the next one and replace and overwrite it on the sticker number 1, let's do that. And when we back to the painter, we can see there's no change here until I go to the library, right click on that and choose the reload option here, okay? And after that, reload manually on the layer. So imagine you have a lot of resources on your project that you constantly update them. So for each of them, you need to do this process. And this is a simple term. If you, for example, have a library with full of SPSAR and Substance Designer outcome, and you just update them, add some parameter, change some parameter over there, and you need to reload every time and just re-input that to the painter and re-input that to the input of the layer to see the result, okay? So that's a problem. That's a big and huge problem. So for solving this issue, we can just come here and choose auto update feature and just check this too. And that's it. So if I go back to the Photoshop and just change the layer to something like this and overwrite the result inside the Photoshop on sticker number 1, when I back to the Substance Painter, as you can see, it's going to update automatically. And here in this panel, you can change the time of refreshing the whole library. For example, here it's 1 minute. So if you change something outside of the painter and wait for 1 minute, that resource is going to be update inside the painter, okay? And if you want to, for example, make this to the 10 to avoid any kind of crashing or something else, but you change something right now and you want to have that change right now inside the painter. So you can come here into the manual section and, for example, update the resources used in project. It means you can update only the resources that you used in the project, not the whole library. So it's very important and very useful to understand asset in panel. It means all the library, and resources used in project. It means if you, for example, use one of your material that you create inside the designer and use that in the project and you change that, you can come here and choose update resources used in the project, or just uncheck this one and use resources used in the project, and you will update the whole library just only for those resources that you used in the project every 10 minutes. And it's super awesome. And before jumping to the next update on the Substance Painter, let's bring up some of the improvements for the workflow that we have it in newest version of the Substance Painter. First of all, if you want to use the shortcut for exporting textures or mesh, it's not necessary to come to the file and choose export texture or export mesh. You can directly come over here and send anything that you want to the Photoshop, to After Effects, to Stager, or you can export the mesh and export the textures from this menu here, which is very handy. And the other thing that is added to the Substance Painter recently, and it's improved the overall performance on heavy project, is when you create a new layer here, as you can see on the properties, only the color is enabled, and it helps the software to calculate everything and load all the changes and add all the changes to the project very faster, and it improves the overall performance. And if you need the other channels on the layer, you just need to hold Alt and click on the color. And you have all the other channels in here. So if you create a fill layer and you see there is just only the color channel enabled, it's for performance. And that's it. Let's go to the next feature. Okay, now let's talk about the next feature. The next feature is renaming the UV tiles inside the painter, which is very important and very useful when we want to have this power to customize the naming. Okay, so right now in the texture set list, or you can come here into the texture set setting, you can see we have a name input. For example, here I name this 1001 UV tile to tile number 1 or tile 01. And for the second one, I rename it as a main. And for the third one, I rename it as a top. Okay, so let's go to the file, export, and I'm going to choose document channel plus normal plus AO, no alpha. Okay, and in here, I just export the base color on the path that I want. Okay, so that's it. So I'm going to put the size on based on each texture set size, which is very important here. I just want to show you something, and let's export. And right now, as you can see, I have this helmet base color 1001 and so on, right? So let's go back here, and in the texture set list, I can rename each tile, right? And right now, I can change the size of each UV tile. It means I can export 2K for the 01 tile. I'm going to export 1K for the 02 and export 512 for the 03. But for using this little option here, we need to modify something. Okay, let's go to the file, export texture, and let's go to the output template. Okay, and I'm going to create a new one and name it as UV tile custom name. Okay, and put RGB here. And for this one, I want to choose the base color. That's it. Let's remove everything from here. And in the naming, I use this $, and I'm going to choose the texture set name, okay, underline, and use UV tile name. It means after texture set, which is helmet, please mention the UV tile name so I can define this texture is related to which UV tile. And that's it. So you can, for example, use another underline and choose the color space, or even you can go straight to the UDIMs, right? So let's go back to the setting. Here I'm going to use UV tile custom name. And when I choose the size based on each texture size, it means for the 01, we go for the 2K, for the 02, we go for the 1K, for the 03, we go for the 512, and for each of texture, we define a custom name here. So let's export. Okay, so this is the result. As you can see, we have the main, okay, helmet main, and 1002, which is the second UV tile here, and the size is 1K. For the first one, we have 2K with the tile 01, and for the top, we have 512. So with this new feature, we can customize our exporting for the UDIMs project to define it very well and better, and we can control everything here. Regarding to the name, we can define custom name, we can even define custom size for each tile separately. And it's very and super useful when you have a complex model with different textile density on the surface, and you want to keep the quality at the same level, and that's it. So this is the awesome feature that you should know about that. Okay, let's talk about the next feature, which is very important, and it's a great improvement for a great tool. If you come here to paint along path, and for example, just want to create a path here, you can see there is a preview here that's very annoying sometimes. And how you can disable this? This is the first thing. If you press Shift and P, you can disable the preview, and you can, for example, come here and change the color, and come back to the viewport and just press Shift and P again and you have the preview. So let's talk about the whole improvement around this amazing tool. First, if I come here and click on this, the path is going to close automatically. And if you come here, you can right click on this path and come here into the change type, and you can change the path type. For example, change it to fill path. So you have a region like this and you fill up this region. That's it. Very, very great. And unfortunately, for now, we can just define solid and simple input. For example, you can define color, just only color. There is no way to put texture here, okay? But for applying a texture with something like this tool, you can create a paint layer, just put something into the base color, increase styling like this, and create a black mask, okay? And come back here and just copy this one, come back here, go to the path tool, and right click and paste this. This is amazing because before this version, we couldn't do that. And there wasn't any way to bring a path that you create on the layer or on the paint to the mask, or something that you draw on the mask that you can bring it to the layers. So this is a huge update on the path. So right now you can control everything here, okay? And there is another one that you can do. Let's go and create another paint here. And I just come here, copy this, back to the paint number 1, paste it here, and I'm going to change it to paint along path, okay? And resize it. So that's it. I just play with the path across the different layers and this is the result. Okay, that's great. And another important thing and very important feature is that you can create a path here, for example, like this, and you can change the type to like erase along the path. And you have something like this result. And why it's apply on the line, but not on the region, it's because we create the path here. Okay, perfect. So let's remove everything, come back again, okay, and create another paint layer here, and I'm going to create something here like this. Okay, let's change the type, for example, to the fill, and as you can see, we can change it here with right click, go to the change type, or coming to the properties and change the path type here like this one. And that's it. For example, you can control the opacity here, you can control the projection depth, and all the information regarding to the path. Okay, perfect. And right now we can delete this path with delete button or backspace on the keyboard. And beside that, you can select all these vertices, come to this manipulation tool, and you can change the position of this path, rotate it or scale it. And you can switch between rotate, move, and scale with the standard shortcut WER. And you can disable or enable this gizmo tool with Q on the keyboard. And there is a general snapping tool for this gizmo tool that you can control it here in manipulator setting. For example, you can choose what is the angle step that you need when you rotate something on the path, or for moving or scaling, okay? And for enabling this manipulator snapping, you need to hold shift. For example, if I go to the rotation and rotate it, you can see it's rotating in free mode, but whenever I hold shift, it's going to rotate on 45 degree, and it's work on the moving and scaling. And if you want to have surface tool, you need to hold shift and press W to have this little icon to project this path on the surface, the center of the path. Or for example, you can choose one of the vertices, and as you can see, if you move it, it's going to snap to the surface. And that's fantastic. Before jumping to the next thing, I need to bring up something. For this curvy line, there's an option here that we can toggle it between corner type of the vertices or a smooth one, right? So when we want to draw a path, we can hold shift, and with holding shift, we can switch between curvy and a straight line. That's it. So it's very easier compared to the before that you need to double click to have this curvy or a straight line or vertices type. And another great feature that it's added to the path tool in the newest version of Substance Painter is we can control the custom tangent of each vertex. It means you can have more control on the path and the result of the path. Very easy and very fast. And it's not all the improvement that we have here. For example, if you have something like this, two separate surface or curvy object, in previous version of Substance Painter, if you, for example, press something here and just jump over here and continue your drawing, the path is not great fit on these surfaces. But right now, we have this snapping tool that we can control even more, and we can add more vertices to follow the shape like this. Okay, it's awesome to have this improvement on the path tool. And now let's talk about one of the great improvement that we have on path tool in Substance Painter, which is snapping on the wireframe. Okay, let's come back here and I'm going to delete all these paths, and in here you can enable the snap grid, okay, which you can come here and choose the vertices. Or for example, you can come here on the behavior section and just change the snap type. For example, from vertex to the edge or middle edge. So as you can see, we go for the middle point of the edge, and that's interesting. Okay, and the next one is we can hold Control and Shift, and as you can see, we have this guidance that we can create a straight line on the surface. And for controlling this behavior, we can come here in the behavior section, and in the angle step, we can change the angle step, for example, to the 5. So if I come back here, you can see we have this snap for drawing the curve on each 5 degree, okay? And this degree is going to work with this angle reference. So if it's on the screen space, it means when you select the camera, it's going to base on the camera view. If it's on the vertices space, it means you are drawing on the local space of each vertex that you draw previously. And if it's go for the word space, it means this angle step and the rotation system, it's based on the word coordinate. So that's it. This is a great feature for creating path in Substance Painter, and we cover all of that. For the last tip, let's go here, create another one, and imagine you have so many paths here and you want to focus on one of them. So if you select one of them on the layer, press F, the camera is focused on that path. So great improvement, great feature for the path tool, which is very important and very awesome tool inside the painter. And now it's time to go for the next one. Okay, now we are in last part of this video, and here I want to talk about a situation. Imagine you have an asset, and for this asset you want to turn it from realistic to something like a stylized, okay? Inside the painter without any extra paint, very easy and one-click solution. How we can do that? So inside the newest painter, if we come to the asset window and search about the stylized and go to the filter category, and in here you can see we have a specific filter which is called stylization, and another one which is named anisotropic Kawahara. We can use these two filters to convert a realistic asset to the stylized one. Okay, the simplest one is this anisotropic. So let's click and drag it here and put it after the layers that you want. And as you can see, we can see the effect. Okay, so let's go to the properties. And as you can see here, we just have color channel on. It means all the effect and the processing just applied on the color section. So if you want to have the same result on the roughness and on the normal, you need to turn all these channels. Okay, so let's go to the parameters, and as you can see, we have a radius that define the intensity of this mixing and effect result. Okay, and we can control the smoothness of this mixing here. With this smoothness, we can increase the sharpen. We can control another step of smoothness here like this, and you can control the anisotropy effect here, and you can change the angle to have more and different result. And as you can see, you can control this effect of the anisotropy with this slider. Okay, that's it. So very easy, you can transfer a realistic asset to something like a stylized. And this is the lighter version, but if you need more control, more feature to play, you need to delete this one, go to the stylization, and as you can see, the properties menu here is more huge. So first of all, you can control which kind of channel that you want to have here on this calculation. For example, you don't want to play with the height, you can turn it off. And let's go to the parameters. Inside the preset, you have so many presets here. For example, you can go to the wood, and this is the result of the wood. Or you can go to the contrast, and this is the result of this filter. Okay, or you can go here, for example, to the skin, to the cell shading, to flat shaded, and you can play and see what's happening here. Okay, let's restart everything. That's okay, and I can define this tool to the two main category. First of all, here you can see all the main parameters here. For example, stylization, it means you can turn off or turn on the whole stylization effect here with this slider, and they act like opacity on the layers. And in the second part, you can have access to the smaller and specific parameters regarding to each one of these controllers here. Let's go and see what does it mean. So for example, here in the gradient, if I put it on 1, as you can see, we have a gradient here, right? And if I go here into the gradient menu, you can see we have a lot of information regarding to this gradient part. And the gradient is one of the most important part of the stylization process. It means on all stylized asset, you can find gradients on the color, okay? So you can come here, just change the color mode to 2, and after that you have 2 color to play. You can control the color itself, you can control the opacity of the color, you can control the blending mode of this color, and that's it. And after that, you can come here and just play with the gradient offset, as you can see. And you can play with the contrast to define the contrast on the border. And the most important thing is, most of the time, the gradient and the features here, it's not super visible. So you can use the helpers menu here, which is more debugging feature. And in the helpers, you can go, for example, choose the gradient mask. And as you can see, right now, you can see the mask on the gradient. And that's it. So if you come here and play with the offset, you can see the exact result of the gradient changes. And for disabling these helpers, you need to come here and choose the none. Okay, that's perfect. And we can create so many great results with this stylization filter. That's it. And this is a huge one. So if you need any kind of video just only about this stylization, put your request on the comment section. I will drop a video specific related to this one. And go and discover all the items and the parameters here in this filter. And that's it. I hope you learned something new in this video. Enjoy this video. If it's so, please hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe our channel, turn on the notification bell, and read the description for more information. And that's it. Be safe, be creative, bye.